Dreaming, don't give it up, dreaming, don't give it up, Wolfman. Dreaming, don't give it up, King of Monsters. Dreaming, here we go, here we go, here we go, here we go. Hey yo 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 oh oh oh. Buckle up for TexasWolfArt, a global adventure, a work of art.
What's up everybody? Welcome back to another one of my videos. I am back with another episode. Today in this video I will be making another requested Hazbin Hotel Key. This time it is Rosie. If you don't know Rosie, she is one of the many overlords of hell. I'm looking forward to do this one. This one's going to have a unique design to hers of the key. I am very looking forward to this. I am excited. So let's get started, shall we? I start by taking my grid paper pad and start drawing out the design for Rosie's key design. I really like how this looks, in which it looks great. And then I go over and start by using the oven baked clay will be the main core of the design of me making this. So I basically just started by taking a good amount of clay and I started getting it loose and getting it into shape. Once it's nice and loose, I can start by stretching it out first. And then I start by taking the roller and start flattening out. While rolling this to a nice flat surface of the clay, I made sure that the thickness of the flat clay is a very good, nice thickness to it, so once it's nice and flat, I can use the thickness of the clay to start cutting out the shape of the key. Once the clay is nice and flat the way I want it to, I took a pair of scissors and started cutting a piece of parchment paper so I can use the parchment paper to trace the Rosie key design onto the parchment paper. I then now take the scissors once again and start cutting out the parchment paper key design of Rosie's key. I wanted to be careful on this part of the key because there are very small designs on it and I want to take my time and patience by using the scissors and cutting out this part of the key design. This part I wanted to be cautious and careful with because this part is small and delicate, but once everything was cut out, it'll be looking like this. I now take the design and place it on top of the flat surface of the clay. It doesn't stick fully like permanently, but it gives it enough force of stickiness to it to where it holds in place of the clay. I then now take one of these skewers and I start by measuring how long the skewer piece need to be, so I mark it with a sharpening pen. And then I take my scissors, just make enough mark where I can use my hands and start breaking it out without having a sliver on the edge of it. With the piece of the skewer that I have, I made two holes on both sides of the key, on the top part and the bottom part, which will allow me to make sure where I'm going to put the skewer piece inside where it needs to be in the center. So I now take the entire thing very carefully and start flipping it on its side by making sure also that the parchment paper of the key stays in place. By adjusting the skewer piece to make sure that everything is lined up, I now take two of my fingers and I press it down inside the clay so it can stay inside and be the core. I then now take my set of knife blades and I choose the specific blade that I want to use, and I start by taking a small piece of the clay that I need, because with a small piece of clay that will be flattened out and stretched, it will be laid on top of the skewer, where I start by blending the clay within the whole thing of the clay. I now flip the entire thing back over on its front side and I peel the parchment paper off the clay, with the design of the key still remain in the center of the clay, where I was happy that it was able to stay in place where it should be. Then later I take my blade once again and I start cutting all the extra materials of the clay off. And once all the extra materials of the clay is off, it'll be looking like this. Now I take a random nickel and I place it in the center part of the key, where that will be having an extra design, but it'll be an inner circle. So I take my two fingers and I press it down to make a perfect circle inside. And I now take the design off because we no longer need it, and press it down even more. And then I take my blade and I carefully remove the nickel. I then take my finger and I gently rub around the inner circle so any images from the nickel is rubbed flat. And now I go over to my carving set tools and I start then by taking a small piece of clay into a circle, start getting it flat, and I take my scissors and the design that's in the centerpiece of the key and start cutting it out to place it on the flat piece of the clay. I now start by putting it on the clay, and once it's carved out, I now start by adjusting it into the inner circle. And I take one of my carving tools and start blending it into the inner circle. And then later I start by taking another special carving tool of mine and start carving in some extra details on the side. I then now go over to the oven, preheat the oven for 250 and place it in the oven for a time for 15 minutes. Once the ROSIE Key is finally baked, we can now go to the next step, and I just want to take this moment and say this key absolutely so far looks beautiful. I really liked how a lot of it has turned out. So the only thing we got to do now is by getting all the extra edges, the rough edges off. So we're going to take our smaller blade and start carving all the rough edges off. With this part of the key, I wanted to make sure that Rosie's feather that's on the hat in the show has the same effect as this one. So I wanted to give this part that 3D effect, and it came out absolutely amazing, which I was so proud of. And once everything is now carved and smooth, we can go on to the next step. I now go to the next step by taking some more clay and flattening out with the roller. And once it's rolled out, I now take a 2-piece and start making rings so it can be part of the middle part of the ring. And I take my tools and start putting it in place. And now for the next step, I start by taking some paint. The top part will have a dark pink color to it. At first, it was going good with this color, but the problem was with the amount of coating with the same color, it wasn't giving enough of the color, and plus it was looking like a lot of a camouflage red type color. It did look good at first, but it wasn't giving me the color that I wanted. So I chose another option by using metallic paint. I've never used metallic paint before until now, but the result was amazing. It made the colors pop. So in order from top to bottom was light pink, dark pink, deep pink, black, deep pink, and reddish pink. Once that part was painted, I take my toothpicks and I start by taking some paint color and I fill in some of the areas to make it easy for me. And this technique that I am using really works, but I have to be very careful, just doing a little dots and stretching out the paint. I used the technique again, this time for the heart-shaped head for the snake and the white for its entire body, and also purple for the flower design that's on it. And then I go back with some extra color for the bottom part of the key, and then I also go back and fill in the extra areas that I did not get into yet. And once that's all done, I start mixing some more colors, white and red, by still using the metallic texture of which I've been using, and going around the rings that's on the middle of the key. Once everything is now painted, it'll be looking like this. The result for this is absolutely beautiful, and I absolutely love it. So now I have to use the design with the toothpick again, this time for red, metallic red, to put in the last designs that are going around the entire black center of the key. This technique, by going around the black area of the key with the red line color design, took a while, but it turned out awesome. Once the key is finally dried, I can now go to the final part by taking clear nail gloss to put over the entire key. This clear nail gloss will allow the key to have that shiny effect throughout the entire key. So with a little bit of coating, that takes maybe 1 or 2 depending. With the coating, it came out shiny, it came out beautiful. And after putting the last bit of clear gloss on the key, the Hazbin Hotel ROSIE Key is finally complete. For watching. Be sure you subscribe to my channel so you don't miss any of my videos, leave a like, and also leave a comment down below to see what else you want me to make.